Today we will discuss male genital system. Myself Pinkle, and we'll discuss the objectives like normal histology of male genital organ. To understand pathology and pathological histology, one has to know the normal histology of each and every organ. We will discuss gross and microscopic features of germ cell tumors of testis, benign prostatic hyperplasia, carcinoma of prostate, and penile neoplasm. Here I would like to mention in testicular tumors, germ cell tumors are the most common tumors. That is why we will discuss GCTs. Benign prostatic hyperplasia, again a common lesion. Majority of the older aged individuals presented with frequency of maturation increase, dysuria, painful maturation, they have underlying pathology, that is BPH, then carcinoma and penile neoplasm. So this is the brief structure. We will discuss penile neoplasm, mainly squamous lesion, testicular tumors. These are the tuft of seminiferous tubules and prostatic lesions. So first is testis. Testis basically composed of two structures that are seminiferous tubules, tuft of STs and supported fibrovascular stroma. Now STs, seminiferous tubules, they are composed of mainly spermatocytes, spermatogonia and Sertoli cells. Main germ cells or spermatogonia, they are the target cells. From this point germ cell tumors may arise, and Sertoli cells are basically supportive cells which produces estrogen and androgen. And fibrovascular stroma that contains cells of Leydig, which are the main source of testosterone and other androgen. Stromal cells of gonads, which are Sertoli and Leydig. We will be not discussing stromal cells of gonads, that the tumors of Sertoli cells and Leydig cells, as they are not common. If they are occurring in any community, they are generally benign. Now first we see the gross. What do you mean by gross? Gross means any organ seen with naked eye. So here on the left side we have cut section of normal testis, and it is brown in color. The consistency, it is a soft, spongy generally. While on the right side, you can see the smaller sized testis, which is actually atrophied. Atrophy of testis can be unilateral, bilateral. In bilateral, some central level HPA problem or hormonal problems are there, maybe alcoholism, hypopituitarism, sometimes chemotherapy or radiation, sometimes illness, chronic illness. Now, another topic, cryptorchid testis, undescended. They are atrophic testis and potential source for intratubular or invasive germ cell tumors. This is the normal histology. This is the complete seminiferous tubules. It contains of different cells. In a high power view, we can see these are the spermatocytes, primary spermatocyte. They undergo spermatogenesis and they form the mature sperm like this. And these are the supportive cells, Sertoli cell. When we examine the atrophic testis histologically, there will be depletion of these spermatocytes. There won't be any spermatogenesis, and we only find plenty of Sertoli cells. That are the histological signs of atrophic testis. These are the Sertoli cells in straight tubules. This is the whole mount specimen. These are the tuft of seminiferous tubules, mediastinum, ductulus and epididymis. We will move a little bit faster. We have to cover all the topics in male genital system. So first is testicular tumors. Commonest germ cell tumor, others are there but less common, very, very uncommon. Sex cold stromal tumor, metastatic tumors, lymphoma. Lymphomas are sometimes bilateral. Germ cell tumor, broadly we have divided germ cell tumor in seminomatous and non-seminomatous. In non-seminomatous, we may have combination of 2 or more type of GCTs. Sometimes seminoma with this type of tumors can be there because germ cells have potential to differentiate in any lineage. So sometimes it may differentiate in 2 somatic cell line. Now, what is the age bar? 15 to 34-year-old age, peak incidence for testicular tumors. Basically, testicular tumors are a heterogeneous group of neoplasm which include germ cell tumor and sex cord stromal. But germ cell tumors are fairly more common. In post-pubertal, if testicular tumors are there, they are going to be germ cell and malignant. By contrast, if they derive from sertolyladic cells, that is sex cord stromal tumor, they are very uncommon and they are benign in nature. Now, in predisposing factors, we may discuss first predisposing, that are cryptorchidism. It has a little bit higher increased rate for GCTs, like 3 to 5 times higher rate. Some genetic predisposition with positive family history, exposure to carcinogen, maybe occupational exposure or radiation chemotherapy, all may lead to predisposing factors. Then sites, maybe gonadal and extragonadal. As we all know that the gonads are migrated through the midline. So extragonadal sites are the midline, like mediastinum, retroperitoneum. So it could be extragonadal also. The spread lymphatic and hematogenous. Seminomas are generally, they have lymphatic spread, others mainly with hematogenous. Now tumor markers. We will discuss little bit about questions which can be asked in practicals, because this male genital, female genital, generally practical point of view, they are more important. Now tumor markers, as such you have gone under the slight orientation about tumor markers, like they are the screening part as well as they are important in follow-up. Second important point in GCTs, germ cell tumors, like presence of 1 or more tumor markers will give the idea about whether the tumor has a pure histology or a mixed histology. It is very important for pathologists as well as in the follow-up time, prognosis time. You have to undergo in detail with tumor markers of all GCTs. Now these are the dictum I used to share with my students every time, that most testicular tumors are germ cell tumors and they are of testis, then it is malignant. In contrast to that, the gonadal part, gonadal tumors of female genital system like ovarian tumors, they are generally non-germ cell tumors. And the germ cell tumors of ovary, they are the benign, predominantly dermoid cyst. Please make yourself clear about it, that testicular tumors of testis are germ cell tumors, and all germ cell, mainly in post-pubertal patients, they are malignant. And in ovaries, they are non-germ cell. That means epithelial cell abnormalities, tumors, neoplasms are there. And if germ cell tumors are there, they are generally benign. Here the patient with GCTs or any testicular tumor, they used to present with painless mass of testis, some majority times unilateral. Now germ cell tumors, they may be divided into 2 categories, which is actually based on histological type. See, all the germ cell tumors has to undergo histology, because histology will decide their nature, their origin, line of treatment, whether they are in a pure form or mixed form, and that's the utmost important for clinician. And as a pathologist, we have to undergo multiple sectioning and wide histological diagnosis. So basically the categories are on basis of one histologic pattern or more than one, that is mixture of 2 or more. If it is a single pattern, then it has a good prognosis. And 60% of tumors, they have a mixture of pattern. Germ cells are basically a multipotent type of cells which once they become cancerous, they are not inhibited in the lines of differentiation. Now, the another terminology that you should be aware of is intratubular germ cell neoplasia. What is intratubular? Exactly like in situ. Previously, it was germ cell neoplasm in situ. It has been corrected by intratubular germ cell. Now, intratubular germ cell neoplasm, they are the basically foci, can be seen in cryptorchid patients at the age of 5-7 years. If one patient undergoes that orchidectomy, it has to be subjected to histopathology. If one finds ITGCN nodules or foci, that person has to undergo low dose radiotherapy. And second, it can be seen in adjacent areas of GCT. Now, seminoma. Here one has to correlate their histological pattern, gross appearance and site of the tumor with age of the patient. Age is very important so many times. As we have discussed, post-pubertal GCTs are generally malignant. Sometimes it may happen infant presenting with GCT may have exceptionally benign origin, benign look. So third and fourth decade, most common, but maybe post-pubertal generally. They are the painless testicular mass which are unilateral. Gross. Gross means what we see with naked eye without cutting the specimen and after cutting the cut surface. Okay. And consistency is also very important in gross examination. So they are the soft, well demarcated. Well demarcated, that means it is limited to testes and it has a very good prognosis. That is why seminoma has good prognosis, and it is important to differentiate whether it's a pure form seminoma or mixed type of germ cell tumor. So it is a soft, well demarcated grey-white tumor. Cut surface is flashy and homogeneous. This homogeneous is very important. Homo, that means of single type. Here homogeneous, that means the complete cut surface throughout the tumor. They have a single type of look. That means they are the grayish white in color. No areas of hemorrhage, necrosis or cystic areas. Presence of cyst, hemorrhage, necrosis will give some other clues for some other GCTs. Sometimes, very exceptionally, if the tumors are very large, we may find foci of necrosis and calcification. Here, one should first identify the organ. It is very important when you are dealing with any type of gross specimen. Try to locate surrounding tissue and try to pinpoint the origin of tumor. That means origin of that organ. Here we can see we generally do orchidectomy with spermatic cord removal to low, high according to the disease process, but spermatic cord are almost invariably present with testicular tumors. So I request all of you, whenever you go through the specimen, if you are thinking of any tumors of testes, first identify the spermatic cord and sometimes if possible the surrounded normal testis, what we have seen previously. This is the normal parenchyma and this much is the tumor portion which is lobulated. Here it is demarcated and grayish white in color. We'll come to histology afterwards. This is the gross specimen. You can see the lobules of tumor. This is the fixed specimen. When we fix the specimen with the formalin, somewhat appearance is different than that of the pure gross unfixed specimen. Here first you should identify the spermatic cord and then the testis. Again spermatic cord, testis and normal testicular parenchyma. Microscopically they are made up of uniform cell. As it has a single histological pattern, it has a uniform cells which are divided into lobules with a delicate septa. The cells are large, round, polygonal have a distinct cell membrane and round nuclei and nucleolus. We want to see the high power. Here you can see the polyhedral cell. You can see the polyhedral cell, prominent nucleoli, round cell. It has primitive look of germ cell. What we have seen in the first slide, that is the spermatocyte. See, this is the normal testis. You can see the tubules. Here, these are the tubules. And that side, this portion is tumor portion. You can follow. આમાં arrow નથી દેખાતો. Can't they follow the arrow? Arrow આવે છે આમાં? Sorry for the interruption. See, this is the when I move my cursor, is it visible to all or not? I can see, but it is not displayed over here. દેખાય છે? Fine. So you can see the seminiferous tubules. These are the normal spermatocytes, and on the right side you can see the tuft of tumor cells. These are tuft of tumor cells. These are the fibrovascular stroma, and they are infiltrated by small cells, which are the lymphocytes. So basically it has a very classical appearance of lobules and showing the primitive spermatocyte type of cells. It has classical seminoma. We don't have tumor marker alpha fetoprotein or HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin hormones. So in histology of seminoma, these are the seminiferous tubules, which is the normal histology of testis. You can see these are the spermatocytes, and these cells have a same morphology of the seminoma component. This is the demarcation point, normal histology and histology of seminoma. This lobule, tumor lobule, is divided by septas, and septas, they contain lymphocytes. Now we'll move to teratoma. Teratoma is again very important second tumor of testis, and they are a group of complex tumor having various cellular or organoid component reminiscent of normal derivatives from more than one germ layer, that is the somatic germ line. In children, exceptionally benign, but in post-pubertal, they are malignant. They are basically composed of heterogeneous helter-skelter collection of differentiated cells like neural tissue, muscle bundle, islands of cartilage, squamous epithelium, thyroid gland, bronchial, bits of intestinal, etc. It can be any type of tissue. Teratoma mainly divided on the basis of their histology, either mature or immature. If mature, all the structures are differentiated, and age group, infant, children, prognosis good, but they are uncommon. Generally, post-pubertal testicular germ cell tumors, teratoma, which are immature and has malignant outcome. Immature, which is composed of incompletely differentiated primitive or embryonic tissue with mature elements sometimes. Embryonic tissue or primitive tissue are basically undifferentiated cells. That means they are very high NC ratio, round, blue tumor-like appearance. Grossly, they are usually large and it has heterogeneous appearance. That means solid, cystic, and sometimes cystic areas, they contain hemorrhage and areas of necrosis. They are usually admixed with other types of GCTs like embryonal carcinoma or choriocarcinoma. You can see first this spermatic cord. For any testicular tumor, try to identify this spermatic cord, and this is the tumor portion with cystic area, hemorrhagic cyst. Here again other component like gross appearance of adipose tissue, neural tissue, cartilage. They have a different gross appearance. Here again you can see first identify spermatic cord, normal testicular parenchyma, and heterogeneous appearance, solid, cystic, hemorrhage, and sometimes hemorrhagic cyst. Again here normal testicular parenchyma, spermatic cord, some fibrous tissue. You can identify the foci of cartilage, hyaline cartilage, which has blue color, bluish hue. Again, a very beautiful foci of cartilage and normal testicular parenchyma. So, teratomas, I will not go in detail, but it is basically composed of heterogeneous collection of all type of tissue, all three germ cell layers. Here we can see in a single section, we can see squamous, papillary structure, again papillary structure, some adipose tissue. A very good slide. Here we can see bony tissue, cartilage together. These are vessel. You can see the epithelium. No other structure will give all these tissues together in a single organ. Again, you can see the intestinal epithelium, goblet cells. Very good hyaline cartilage. Again, cartilage, this component is basically immature cells which will give you only blue colored cells. They are in a cluster and they have high NC ratio, very blue nuclei, less amount of cytoplasm. That suggests primitive cells and mainly primitive neurological. Again, a very good slide. It has muscle tissue, epithelium, squamous, cartilage, all together will give the teratoma histology. Now we move to prostate. Prostate in normal adult, it weighs approximately 20 grams, which is normal. Weight is very important because it is used to categorize it. BPH, that means benign hyperplasia, and if more than 100, it could be carcinoma. See, for the differentiation of BPH from the carcinoma, it is very important to differentiate because very thin line of differentiation is there. Their age group same, more than 60 years, 70 years. Symptoms same. Patient will complain of dysuria, frequency of maturation, and their chances of BPH is high and CA is less. So first a clinician accordingly treat BPH. After histological examination of BPH, if one finds a small foci of malignancy, then person has to be treated for that. For the prostate, it has divided into four biological anatomical distinct zones. This zonation is important because hyperplasia, they arise in transitional, while carcinoma in peripheral. This is the transitional zone, peripheral zone. For the peripheral zone, adenocarcinoma common. Histologically, prostate is composed of tubuloalveolar organ, which in plain section presents gland lined by epithelium, double layered, characteristically lined by two layered, inner cuboidal covered by basal, and small papillary enfoldings may be there, and stromal tissue. This is the stromal tissue. You can see the basal layer, inner cuboidal, this is papillary budding, and fibromuscular stroma. Remember, epithelium as well as stroma, they both are hormone sensitive. That is why when there is hormonal imbalance, hyperplasia of both will occur. Again, note corpora amylacea, which is a laminated proteinaceous material, secretion basically. Three pathological conditions, that inflammation, benign enlargement and tumor. We will discuss benign enlargement and tumor, that is adenocarcinoma. By far the most common is BPH, and it is also constructed as normal aging process. While carcinoma extremely common in male and it merits careful consideration. BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia, which is characterized by hyperplasia of again stromal as well as epithelial cell, which result in a large nodules, multiple nodules which are separated by septa, and they obstruct the urethral lumen, and that is why patient present with increased frequency, dribbling, etc. Age bar more than 50 to 60, peak at 7th decade. Generally, BPH has 60 to 100 grams and they are well circumscribed demarcated nodule. Now, gross, it depends upon whether glandular portion is more as compared to fibrovascular or fibrovascular is more as compared to glandular. If glandular is high, it is yellowish in color, soft, honeycomb appearance with protein, fluidy material. While if fibromuscular is more proliferated, then it is gray, tough, and no cystic areas will be found. You can see the opening of urethra which is obstructed by nodular enlargement. This is the gross, multiple nodules. You can see whitish, yellowish color nodules, and this is the urethral opening which is obstructed. Again, it has a glandular hyperplasia and it gives spongy look, multiple tiny dilated glands are there. And this is the procedure TURP, transurethral resection of prostate, and the bits are sent for histopathological examination. And what we see glandular proliferation dilatation as well as stromal proliferation. Here it is the complete lobule. You can see the dilated glands, even the hyperplastic gland. You can see this type of papillary buddings, cystic, they all together considered as glandular hyperplasia. And again, corpora amylacea, secretion. See, very important is all the glands are separated by fibrovascular stroma and cells are basal. It has a good polarity and they are benign. So one can wait and watch. Three important points to be differentiated on histology: that absence of nucleoli, gland should be separated by fibrovascular stroma, and the nuclei should not be affected, polarity should be maintained, it has to be basal. These three conditions, they favor benign process. Prostatic carcinoma, second most common, elderly male, incidence increases with advancing age, and androgen, it is considered for the lesion. Grossly carcinoma involve peripheral zone, microscopically carcinoma of prostatic acinar epithelium. They are of various size, infiltrate the stroma, and again a tumor marker, serum TSA level, it can be used as a screening marker as well as after treatment for the recurrence. Here you can see the tuft of gland, see the back-to-back glands. Here even no single strand of fibrovascular stroma. You can appreciate the nucleoli, very prominent nucleoli, and see the affected polarity. Cells are not basal. So this is adenocarcinoma prostate. For you to identify any carcinoma, either squamous or adeno, it is important to make out a glandular structure with a lumen. If you examine very carefully, you can identify the gland. So at least you should know the adenocarcinoma. Then origin could be anything, prostatic, intestinal, anything. Just try to identify gland. One more thing, that you can see the mitosis. See the mitosis, high mitotic activity, again in favor but not diagnostic. Atypical mitosis, diagnostic of malignancy. Now it has metastasized to flat bones, that is the vertebra. You can see the white deposits, which are the deposits of prostatic adenocarcinoma. Perineural invasion. Now penile tumor. We'll go quickly for penile tumors. Penile tumors are basically of squamous lesion. Squamous lesion of in situ or invasive. In situ of squamous, which is known as Boyne's disease. Grossly, it's a solitary plaque on the shaft of penis. Histological examination reveals these cells have somewhat malignant features. See, the basement membrane is intact. It has not invaded. You can appreciate the mitotic figure, increased thickness, polarity has lost. So it is Boyne's disease in situ. Now carcinoma causes. So the viral infection, mainly HPV 16, 18, some predisposing congenital anomaly, again Boyne's for invasive, chemical irritation, cigarette smoking, age bar could be anything, mostly 5th, 6th decade. Microscopic pattern are of two types, either papillary or flat. If papillary, give condyloma acuminata and may produce cauliflower-like fungating mass. Flat lesion appear as epithelial thickening and just graying tissue, but fissuring of mucosal surface, and as disease progress, ulcerated papules may be developed, and sometimes fungating lesions may involve the sulcus, prepuce, etc. Verrucous carcinoma is a variant of SCC which is characterized by papillary architecture, virtually no cytological atypia, rounded pushing dip margins. Verrucous carcinoma are basically invasive carcinoma, so it is very important to differentiate verrucous and in situ. Verrucous are actually locally invasive and do not metastasize. So surgeon can treat accordingly. Now this is the gross specimen. Again it's a shaft of penis, squamous epithelium, sulcus, and here at the glance you can see the cauliflower-like large growth with areas of hemorrhage, of course. Here the whole organ has destroyed and replaced by a fungating mass. Here you can see some flat lesion. Microscopically, SCCs are as all other SCC. They are from well differentiated to moderately differentiated or poorly. Now, what do you mean by well differentiated? See, differentiation is actually histological term, and if a malignant cell, they look like normal original cell. That means if pathologist identify the cell as a squamous cell, that means the tumor is well differentiated. Sometimes it may happen that the foci of well differentiated cells are there and some are poorly differentiated. So according to the area, we classify them whether they are well, moderate or poorly differentiated, and it has invasion to which level. Again, for you have to interpret the keratin pearl. Please try to differentiate surrounding malignant cell, because this type of appearance may be seen in some other, like colloid. If a gland is there, inside there is a colloid, then you have to see that the high layering of cell which are malignant. So it could be SCC. You can see the keratin pearl in a malignant cell, and you can see the mitosis. So at least try to differentiate the cell just by seeing a central area of pink color. One should not write whether it is a thyroid or a SCC. Try to identify one or more features. Again, a very good, well differentiated SCC. You can see the keratin pearls, and here the pearl has some nuclei also. So in C2 is high grade lesion we have discussed, that is Boyne's disease. Thank you. That's for all for today.